in all honesty, I'm humbled by my wife's devotion to the family, her love to me, her love to the children, and dare I say, the love to this community. Sometimes I think she does too much, and I complain and criticize her. Thankfully, she ignores me. And so, Alu, thank you very much.
You're welcome, darling.
In a moment, I will talk about our children in the context of the book, because I've just discovered that you can create a narrative of individual lives within the context of larger things. And there is a thing that I discovered about our children within the narrative of writing the book, which I'll share with you in a moment. But before I proceed with that, I would like to thank my brother, Mzee, mentor, colleague, Professor Bereket Selassie, for a very generous review of my work. A little secret, the publisher of the book, actually, when he received the manuscript from me, called Bereket, so that Bereket could review the book and say if it was worth publishing. I just happened to know that the manuscript was sent to him, and for about 2 weeks when he was reading the manuscript, I tried to avoid Bereket, just in case he didn't think the book was worth it. But thankfully, Bereket determined that the book was worth reading and publishing. And for some of you who will get a chance to look at the jacket, he is prominently featured. So thank you, Bereket. And as he indicated earlier, in April, he and I will be walking the streets of Dar es Salaam, because Bereket is not only a wonderful colleague, a good friend, but a very accomplished academic and political activist. And he has been invited to give the third Mwalimu Julius Nyang'oro lecture at the University of Dar es Salaam in April. A great honor. And so, whether he likes it or not, I'm coming. Now, I don't want to make a long speech, but I would like to highlight a few things that I think I've learned in the course of writing the book. So, what have I learned? Remember, I told you something about Yusuf and Alma in the course of the narrative. One day, Yusuf and Alma walked into my study. I was busy writing. They knew I was working on a project, and casually, Yusuf asked, Daddy, what did you just write? And I went into this long discourse for about 5 minutes. And then he just touched my shoulder and said, yeah, whatever, old man. But Alma stood there for a while and said, Daddy, what did you just say? I went in another 3 or 4 minutes. And she said, but what do you mean? It is at that point, a flicker of enlightenment came to me. And that flicker is, keep it simple, stupid. I had been busy trying to actually write a political science thesis. that wasn't the intention. The intention had been to write a book that will be accessible to the general public. And Alma is my general public. After Yusuf dismissed me and said, "Yeah, sure, man." And one of the lessons I learned was that it is important that we write things that are accessible to people who are the important consumers of whatever ideas you're trying to propagate. Prior to this book, had been involved in about 12 or so other book projects, and I'm sure maybe 5,000 to 6,000 people have read it in my entire academic career, which goes on a couple decades. But I do know now for a fact that just in the last 3 or 4 months, when this book has been out, more people have read this book in this short time than my combined 20-year academic history. And so the idea is that it is important that at some point we give up our lofty theoretization on the various issues and just have maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people read your work. Some of them are quite ungenerous in their critiques. And sometimes after you have worked for about 5 or 6 years doing a book, and then somebody says, this book was not worth writing. But I hope I will not be getting that kind of response of this particular one. So, keep it simple, stupid. The second aspect, which came to me as I was working on this project, is the rediscovery of my love for my country. I never sought out to write about myself. I sought out to write the history of JK in terms of how he fits into the political narrative of the country. But as I got more and more into it, I just realized that in spite of the many problems we have back in Tanzania, in spite of the many criticisms that we heap on Tanzania, and some of us, including some of my friends gathered here, we criticize our homeland because that is one of the justifications as to why we stay out here. That's the honest truth that we must face. But I just realized that the more I wrote about Tanzania, the more problems I saw confronting the country, the more I loved the place. The more I got attached to my little region in Mara region up there on Lake Victoria, the more I discovered the intricacies of the culture of where my lovely wife comes from, Dar es Salaam and Tanga. And those interwoven experiences actually made me feel much more attached to Tanzania than I ever thought possible after being away for so long. And so I'm just thankful that this project actually rerouted me into Tanzania, and for that I'll be forever grateful. The third and perhaps last point I wish to make is kind of a self-absorption. What took me so long to be working on projects of this kind, which would make us come together and have a few cups of tea and enjoy ourselves, instead of sitting down and hiding in a cubicle and writing about huge theoretical paradigms about historical materialism and things of that sort, which Barakat and I have been doing for the past few years. And so because of my and because of that, I actually did promise in the book that I'll be working on volume 2, which I'm happy to say is already underway. And the projected date of completion is mid to late 2013, early 14. For me, besides the pleasure of working on the project, I'm just trying to figure out how much I will have to pay Alma and Kiki to bribe them so that they forgive me for missing at least 1 or 2 or more of the special occasions. So I would like to ask for their forbearance in this regard. It is for a good cause. And along the way, I hope that my love for Tanzania is going to be reflected in their own ideologies and views about Tanzania. Thank you very much.